always, a good turnout at these, and I hope that it continues. Just a reminder, the authors do have books for sale. Stuffing Answer Box, books right there. And please, if you can make a donation to New Visions, as I said at the beginning, so they can keep having events like this and other events, music shows and stuff like that. It really helps them out. All right, our next reader is originally from New York City. Susan Jaffer has worked as a newspaper reporter and editor as well as a freelance writer. She's been a member of the Mulberry Poets and Writers Association since 1989 and currently serves as the group's media officer. Susan has had short fiction published in Women's World magazine, and her poetry has appeared in Yankee, Potato Eyes, The Lyric, and Light, among others. Please welcome Susan.
Thank you. I have to say, first of all, about drinking water in Florida. When I was 9 or 10, my father took me on a road trip down to Florida, and this was back in the early 1950s, and I saw 2 water fountains side by side. One said whites and one said colored. And I asked my dad what that was all about, and he told me, and I wanted to taste the colored water. And I knew it wasn't colored water, you know. But I was from New York City, and there's nothing in my life that I could connect this separation with. So I was a 9-year-old rebel, and I used the black water fountain, and it was just what you said. It was rotten eggs, it was sulfur. And that taught me more about the racial divide than any other lesson I could imagine at that age. Anyway, since we're in Scranton, I brought my Irish bar poem. It's called Tara Hall. It's named for a place I spent a lot of time in as a teenager, even before I was of the legal drinking age. But it was one of those places where everybody knows your name, and we had a lot of fun. I raised my glass to darkened wood, to tin illuminations, gummy floor, and feet that pound and spin in crazy unison. From arms that fall across damp necks, we meet eyes that laugh and tear, with mirth so sweet it turns our brittle cares to powder, blown out the door and down the weary street. My music swells, we've made the tunes our own. A beer is spilled, another dart is thrown. And in the back, scrub table, seating shared, still seasick, homesick, wetly pale, half-grown, 4 young men paint their lyrics green. Unfair, those waspish weekdays keep me waiting long. I'm turned to Irish with each Saturday's song. This is called To Myself at 12. When I was 12 years old, I had just come out of 2 years as a Protestant child in a Catholic boarding school, and having lost my mother at age 9. So at 12, I was released to come home because my father had remarried, and many decades later, I wrote this poem to myself at 12. Don't be hurt that she won't kiss you. She's never been married before, and she's overwhelmed. You don't know what overwhelmed means yet. She told you she won't try to be your mother because she thinks that's what you want. She doesn't know what she wants. Yes, you may be smarter, but that doesn't mean you're better. It's not too late to find signs from Mommy. Look in your dreams and the books you read. Listen to what the radio plays when you can't stop crying. Take a walk and see what blooms under the railroad trestle. Before you fall asleep, listen hard. If at any time you smell honeysuckle, you'll know. You won't always be 12 or even 19. Remember 2 things, training and practice. Don't think you can do something just because you don't know how. Learn how. You inherited some remarkable genes, but you still have to do the work. Your beautiful hair isn't governed by nuns anymore. Grow out the poodle perm. As for the rest, I still don't know a lot about fashion, but I do know that bright green jeans aren't the best choice under most circumstances, especially when combined with a matching scarf. bad poetry contest. I mean, it was bad in two ways. The contest itself was really bad, but it was a contest for bad poetry. And although I never should have entered it, somehow, all these years later, this poem has held up better than some of my serious, good poems. And every time I see it, I remember it, and every once in a while I bring it out in public. So here we are. It's called To My Soulmate, and when I wrote it, I had a voice in my head, and I will read it in that voice. To my soulmate, when I saw you walk into the room, well, it wasn't the room I was in or anything, but it was like through the hallway, you know, that I saw you, and I knew. I just knew. My heart, it like opened, and you walked in. Just like how you walked into the room. Not the room I was in, but the other room. Oh, thank you. Well, now that I've gotten that out of my system, my last poem is came from a project I did for the AFA Gallery, in which a bunch of us poets came to the gallery and observed the art on the walls and each of us chose a picture or a sculpture to write about. And I chose a painting of a black woman. I was going to say looking out a window, but she had her eyes closed at the window. And this is called Reverie. It's a sestina. You all know what a sestina is? Do you all want to know what a sestina is? No, probably not, but it's 6 stanzas, and you'll hear certain words repeated. The last word in each line will be repeated in every stanza. I don't want to think how many distant years it's been, how many times I've mowed the grass since then, how many others have sung this song. I just want to close my drowsy eyes and feel that afternoon when I was young and soft and you were dusty, full of sweat and hard. Our life was new, it hadn't gotten hard. That would take another 20 years. The little porch was sagging, but our bed was soft. Lemon balm and flowers rimmed the grass. So much was new, the smell of you, the feel of our first night together, your morning song. The sweetest alarm clock, I called that song, buzzing against my shoulder. It was hard to get up, hard to lose the long, warm feel of your body in those tender early years. But with your song in my ears, the round grass mat by the side of the bed felt velvet soft. That afternoon, the summer air was soft. I tuned the radio to some bluesy song and cut up rhubarb while you mowed the grass. Looking out the window, it was hard not to stare, as I would for years, at your arms, your chest. They made me feel. Then you came through the door, and I gasped to feel on my neck and my hair, on my face, your fingers, soft, they burned with a heat that comes straight through the ears, like Billy's voice, as the radio carried her song over the stove, the sink, the linoleum-hard floor, and then, like us, outside to the grass. Our skin was damp with sweat and new-mown grass. How smooth it all comes back to me. The feel of muscles slick and coiled against me hard. Mouths whispered and all my inside sobbed. Your words came from smiling lips like a song I would hum, awake and asleep for years. Don't open your eyes, girl. The years have scattered weeds in the grass, but Billy's song, no matter who sings it, can still make me feel as soft as you were hard, baby. Don't open your eyes.